Bobby Bear's story is not simply one of fame or failure, but of a man shaped by absence, hardship, and a relentless need to turn pain into music. Born into an America still shaking from the Great Depression, he grew up in a world where survival mattered more than dreams. Yet somehow, from that same world of hunger and silence, he built a voice that would later define a generation of country storytelling. His songs were never just performances, they were lived experiences translated into melody. Over time, Bobby's life became a paradox. On one hand, he was celebrated as a master of emotional truth in country music, a singer capable of capturing heartbreak with almost unsettling honesty. On the other, his personal life was marked by repeated loss, betrayal, and invisibility moments where his own creations slipped away from him or were credited to others. Fame arrived but never fully protected him. Success came but never fully healed him. This is the story of how a boy who had nothing learned to sing everything he could not say, and how that gift both elevated him and slowly consumed him. It is not a fairy tale of triumph, but a long, quiet descent into the emotional cost of telling the truth too well in a world that often prefers something easier. Early life in Iron, Ohio. A childhood forged in scarcity, Iron, Ohio in 1935 was not a place that offered comfort to children. It was a town shaped by the weight of economic collapse, where factories slowed, wages disappeared, and families learned to stretch nothing into just enough. Bobby Bear was born into this environment, where even the idea of stability felt like a luxury reserved for someone else. His earliest memories were not of play or joy, but of hunger and cold mornings that seemed to stretch endlessly. Food was simple and repetitive, often reduced to whatever could be found or stretched across multiple days. Warmth was something improvised rather than guaranteed. In winter, survival itself became a routine task, and childhood was less about innocence and more about endurance. Bobby learned early that life did not wait for readiness. It simply demanded participation. What made his upbringing more severe was not only poverty, but emotional instability. The strain of the era pressed heavily on every adult around him, leaving little room for nurturing or softness. The world he grew in, too, was one where exhaustion shaped behavior, and hope was often postponed indefinitely. Even as a child, Bobby began to understand that the future was not something promised. It was something fought for daily, often without certainty of victory. Lost before understanding, the breaking of family bonds by the time Bobby Bear was 5 years old, his life had already been reshaped by irreversible loss. His mother's death marked the first major fracture in his world, though at that age he could not fully comprehend its permanence. What remained was not understanding, but absence, a silence that settled into the structure of everyday life. His father, already worn down by the demands of survival, struggled to hold the family together. The pressure of poverty did not allow space for emotional recovery. As conditions worsened, the family eventually broke apart. The children were separated and sent to different places, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity shaped by circumstance. Still, to a child, necessity and abandonment feel nearly identical. From that moment, Bobby internalized a belief that people do not stay. It was not a philosophical idea, but a lived conclusion drawn from experience. This belief would quietly follow him throughout his life, influencing how he formed relationships, how he trusted success, and how he processed every later loss. Even before music entered his life, he had already learned the rhythm of disappearance. Music as survival, the first escape from silence amid hardship, Bobby discovered something unexpected. A used radio that brought voices from another world into his small, difficult one. Through it, he heard country singers who turned sorrow into melody, transforming personal pain into shared experience. Artists like Hank Williams and others did not just entertain him, they gave structure to emotions he had not yet learned to name. This was the moment music became more than sound. It became refuge. Bobby began to imitate what he heard, slowly teaching himself guitar with limited resources and even more limited guidance. His hands, already shaped by labor, adapted awkwardly at first, but persistence replaced precision. Each chord he managed to form felt like a small act of escape. Music did not remove his hardship, but it reframed it. Instead of being trapped inside suffering, he began to translate it. That translation became the foundation of his identity. He was no longer just a boy surviving poverty. He was someone who could turn that survival into expression. And in that transformation, a future began to form, even if it remained uncertain and fragile. First love and first collapse, the weight of sudden tragedy in his late teens. Bobby experienced a brief period that felt almost like relief. He met a young woman named Linda, whose presence brought a sense of stability he had never known. For a short time, life seemed to offer a different possibility, one where connection replaced isolation, and where future plans could be shared rather than endured alone. They spoke of leaving their town, of building something beyond the limits of their surroundings. Music remained part of Bobby's identity, but now it felt less like escape and more like direction. For the first time, hope was not abstract. It had a face, a voice, and a presence beside him. That possibility ended abruptly when Linda died in a car accident. The suddenness of the loss left no room for preparation or understanding. What followed was not dramatic expression, but silence. Bobby did not collapse outwardly. Instead, something inside him tightened and reshaped itself. Grief became internalized, and music shifted from aspiration to necessity. From that point forward, his songs carried a different tone. They were no longer about imagining emotion, they were about containing it. This shift would define the rest of his artistic life. Struggle in Nashville, dreams meet industry reality, when Bobby eventually pursued music professionally. He entered Nashville with determination shaped by years of hardship. However, the industry he encountered was not interested in raw authenticity in its pure form. It preferred refinement, predictability, and commercial compatibility. Bobby's voice, though emotionally powerful, did not easily fit those expectations. He faced repeated rejection, often framed politely but firmly. He was told he was talented but not suitable, expressive but not marketable. These responses accumulated into a pattern that became difficult to ignore. Each rejection did not just block opportunity. It reinforced the idea that honesty itself had limited value in the marketplace of music. Despite this, Bobby continued. He traveled, recorded demos, and lived in near poverty while pursuing opportunities that rarely materialized. His persistence was not fueled by optimism, but by necessity. Music had become the only language in which he could fully exist, and abandoning it would have meant abandoning expression entirely. Over time, this period shaped his artistic identity into something sharper and more restrained. His voice became a vessel for unresolved frustration, even when wrapped in melody. The stolen break. Through success without recognition, the turning point in Bobby's early career came with a song that would later become widely known under another name. The track gained rapid popularity, climbing charts and receiving significant radio attention. On the surface, it appeared to be his breakthrough moment. However, the recognition did not belong to him publicly. The credit was assigned elsewhere, and the benefits of success did not reach him in proportion to the song's impact. The emotional contradiction was severe. The world was hearing his voice, but attributing it to someone else. This moment became a defining fracture in his trust toward the industry. It was not only about lost credit or financial reward, it was about identity. To create something deeply personal and then see it detached from oneself created a sense of invisibility that was difficult to repair. The experience pushed Bobby toward isolation. For a time, he withdrew from music entirely, choosing instead to serve in the military. It was less an escape than a pause, a way to survive emotional collapse without confronting it directly. Years of silence, military service, and emotional suspension, Bobby's time in the military did not resolve his internal struggles, but it did suspend them. Life became structured around orders, routine, and physical demands. In this environment, emotional expression was not encouraged, and silence became habitual. Even during this period, music did not leave him entirely. The memory of his lost success followed him, not as pride, but as unresolved tension. Songs he had once created continued to exist in the world without his acknowledgement, a reality that lingered in the background of his daily life. He did not speak about it often. Instead, he carried it privately, allowing it to exist beneath the surface of duty. This suppression did not erase pain, it contained it, and containment, over time, became its own form of pressure. When he eventually returned to civilian life, he was not the same person who had left. Something in him had been muted but not removed. It would resurface later in different forms. Return, reinvention, and quiet resilience after returning from service. Bobby attempted to re-enter the music world. The environment he found had changed, but so had he. There was less idealism in his approach and more clarity about the industry's limitations. He no longer pursued approval in the same way. Instead, he focused on expression without expectation. His music evolved into something more restrained and reflective. He began blending styles, incorporating elements that resisted easy classification. His songs often carried emotional weight without dramatic excess, relying instead on narrative honesty. While he never fully regained what was lost earlier in his career, he established a body of work that reflected consistency and integrity. Audiences who connected with his music often did so deeply, even if they were smaller in number than mainstream stars. Over time, Bobby's career became less about momentum and more about endurance. He was no longer chasing recognition as much as he was maintaining voice. Final years, legacy, silence, and enduring echo in his later years. Bobby Bear's life slowed significantly. Public attention faded, but his influence remained within the structure of country storytelling. Occasional recognition surfaced, often from younger artists who acknowledged his impact. He lived quietly, supported by family and surrounded by memories of a long and complicated journey. Health challenges gradually limited his activity, but he continued to engage with music in small, personal ways. His relationship with his past became more reflective than reactive. Even as time progressed, the emotional core of his life remained consistent. A man shaped by loss who learned to speak through sound. Whether celebrated widely or not, his work continued to exist as testimony. Eventually, his story became less about achievement and more about continuity, the persistence of voice across decades of change. Outro, The Cost of Truth in Music, Bobby Bear's Life, reflects a deeper question about art and suffering. What does it mean to spend a lifetime turning pain into something others can hear? His journey suggests that honesty in music is both powerful and costly. It can create connection, but it does not guarantee protection. He lived through poverty, loss, betrayal, and quiet erasure. Yet he also left behind songs that carried emotional truth beyond his own circumstances. His legacy is not defined by comfort or resolution, but by persistence in expression despite repeated fracture. In the end, his story does not offer a simple lesson. It does not declare that suffering leads to greatness, nor that talent ensures justice. Instead, it reveals something more complex, that some voices endure not because life was kind, but because silence was never an option.